Y'all, how many videos do I have to make about Rachel Hollis before she finally stops speaking at MLM conferences? Is speaking at MLM conferences so fun? Because this girl just can't get enough of it. Actually, I imagine they probably pay pretty well, considering MLMs pay everyone except their consultants who supposedly work for them. Like, they pay a lot of money to put on those conventions, because the consultants are paying them a lot of money to go to the conventions. I kind of see the appeal. Besides, there's no way Rachel Hollis is actually listening to any of my criticism. One, because she has no idea who the fuck I am. Two, because she's made it very clear that she does not listen to criticism. She just kind of blocks it out because she doesn't want to deal with the haters. She's never once read a negative review of one of her books, which is fine. You don't have to read your own negative reviews. Like, set your own boundaries. You do you, girl. But I just think it's a little ironic because Rachel goes on about how much she loves Eminem and how she's so quirky for quoting the phrase "mom spaghetti" in "Girl Stop Apologizing," and she's like, oh my god, to the three of you who got that reference, thank you so much. And I'm just like, to the three of us who remember the top best-selling song of all of 2004, you're so quirky, Rachel. I just feel like if she's gonna channel Eminem energy, then the girl can't be afraid of a diss, you know? Like, sometimes I'm like, should I make a Rachel Hollis diss track? But then I'm like, she won't respond, so that wouldn't even be that fun. Like, I want to get in a Rachel Hollis rap battle. Wouldn't that be amazing if Rachel Hollis and I got in a rap battle? It's never gonna happen. What's up, my fellow small business supporters? I'm Savvy, and today I am here to react to Rachel Hollis's keynote speech at the DoTerra MLM conference. For those of you who have not heard of DoTerra, I'm not sure if it's quite as bad as Young Living. The business model is just as bad. Every MLM's business model is terrible. Don't ever let any MLM tell you our business model isn't as terrible as the other ones. Their business model is still terrible, but as far as I know, whoever their founder is has never been accused of killing someone or practicing medicine without a license or is not known to be responsible for multiple deaths. Maybe they're more ethical in that sense. I don't know. It's still an essential oils pyramid scheme. I mean, multi-level marketing scheme. Real quick, for those of you who are new to my anti-MLM videos, MLM stands for multi-level marketing. It is a company that is not technically a pyramid scheme because they do encourage you to sell a product, even though most of the encouragement is generally placed on recruiting people under you to sell products so that you can get a cut of their commission and then they can get a cut of the people under them's commission, and it just goes on and forever, and it's shaped like, you know, a triangular three-dimensional shape. What would we call one of those? Anyway, Rachel Hollis, best-selling author of Girl Wash Your Face and Girl Stop Apologizing, is known for giving many speeches at these events. She's known for promoting MLMs and for encouraging her followers to stay in them, even though it is statistically proven that 99% of people who are in a multi-level marketing company will lose money, and for many people, that means going into extreme debt, not just losing a little bit of money, going tens of thousands of dollars in debt. And the fact that these companies mostly target low-income women and single parents means that what they're doing is incredibly unethical, incredibly mean, and it is kind of shady that Rachel's out here encouraging her followers to stay in them, knowing that the people who look up to her are probably people who are trying to get to a better place in life, which is why they're looking up to like a self-help guru. So in the past, I reacted to Rachel's speech at the Beachbody conference, I reacted to her speech at the Arbonne conference, and now I have found out that not only has Rachel spoken at the Beachbody and Arbonne conferences, but she was also the keynote speaker at the doTERRA Essential Oils conference, which is interesting because the other week I just reacted to Lindsay Teague Moreno, author of the Girl Boss book called Boss Up, who spoke at the Young Living conference. So it's like, why are all these self-help gurus just balls deep in the pyramid schemes? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but either way, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna watch this speech. I'm gonna tear it the fuck apart. I hope you're all here for it. Grab some popcorn, grab a snack. I was gonna grab tea so I could be like, I've got the tea, like those drama channels do, but then I realized that I'm 27 years old and I would probably look like a okay boomer if I did that. So instead, I've just got my regular ass coffee. Let's do it. Welcome back to to my channel. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe. Multiple times a week, I put out new videos about books, writing, and small business owner life. Small business owner life often includes anti-MLM videos because I believe deep down in my heart that multi-level marketing companies are undermining what real small business owners do. They're appropriating the use of the term small business owner to apply to them when they're not actually creating their own products. They're buying into someone else's product. They're often taking up space at craft and vendor fairs, taking up spaces at conventions and festivals that a lot of artisans and handmade crafters and legitimate small business owners need to promote their own products. Basically, I just have a ton of issues with multi-level marketing companies. Disclaimer, I don't have an issue with the people who are in them. Like I said earlier, it's often low-income people, single parents, new moms, people who are struggling to find or keep employment, people who are struggling to make money, who see this job as an only option for them, only to then later learn that there was actually a statistical near impossibility that they were even going to ever turn a profit in it. So a lot of these people are actually victims who get roped into these companies. The companies often use a lot of cult type of behavior manipulation in them. We've talked in the past a little bit about how multi-level marketing companies often fit into the cult bite model. So a lot of times people who get roped into them have a really hard time getting out due to financial and emotional manipulation. So I do not have anything against individuals who sell for MLMs. I know a lot of the time they're not doing it because they want to scam other people. They're doing it because they thought it would be the best thing for their family at the moment, and I respect that. However, I do not respect the founders of these MLM companies. I do not respect the people who are at the tops of these pyramids, scamming people below them, scamming low-income people out of their last $200 just so that they can make an income. That is unacceptable to me. So when I react to MLMs in that way, that is kind of what I mean, and that's why I, as a small business owner, do not like MLMs. That's just a brief summary. If you want more in-depth research and information, you can check out my anti-MLM playlist, which I have linked in the cards. It has tons of videos about this topic. But Savvy, I'm brand new to your channel and I never knew you were a small business owner. Oh wow, well that's cool. I run a small business called Forever Home Friends. I produce children's books and stuffed animals, all based on the stories of real rescue dogs. We donate 10% of our profits to local animal shelters here in Chicago. You can check out our website, foreverhomefriends.com, linked in the description below. You can get a book, you can get a plushie, you can get me to sign the book for you, you can get an adoption certificate with your plushie so you can feel like you adopted the dog. There's just lots of fun stuff to do on foreverhomefriends.com. So, like I do with all MLMs, even though I know it's basically impossible to make money, I always gotta check. Guys, it is about the facts and the research, and I don't want to be the person who's making shit up, so I decided to research, can you make money in doTerra? At first, I thought I was pleasantly surprised, but then it turns out that doTerra was just lying to me, so yeah. Anyway, if you look at their income disclosure statement from 2018, it shows that 62% of leaders earned on average over $28,000 a year, 21% earned over $59,000 a year. No one was earning under $28,000 according to this. I was like, whoa, what is happening in doTerra? Is doTerra the one ethical MLM? No, of course it's not. They were just being shady in the way they reported their statistics. You ever hear the saying, there are 3 types of lies? Lies, damn lies, and statistics? Yeah, that's doTerra. They're lying off their ass with the statistics. Because if you look at this chart, it does not say percentage of people enrolled in doTerra. It doesn't say percentage of people who have sold any doTerra products ever that make this. It says percentage of leaders. I think that maybe the leaders do not comprise the entire doTerra company. In fact, I think when they say 62% of leaders, that is not even close to 62% of the company. It might be something even less. Let's read further. Well, if we look at doTerra's different type of wellness advocates, which I guess do make up the entire company, wellness advocate leaders is not even until the 3rd category down. The first category, entry-level wellness advocates, says, many wellness advocates join doTerra to enjoy its certified pure therapeutic grade oils at wholesale pricing and do not earn commissions. Wellness advocate earnings depend on many factors including effort, interpersonal skills, and leadership abilities. doTERRA's entry rank represented 62% of all U.S. wellness advocates and 53% earned a commission. Wait. So that's 62% that earned $28,000 is not 62% of the company, it's 62% of 62% of the company. So you're saying that actually 53% of people involved in doTERRA earned no commission whatsoever. Oh, well that paints a different picture entirely. Especially because when you link up the word commission, in MLM's commission never means profit, it means revenue. So the commission is what the company's paying you, but that does not account for what you spent to buy the inventory to hold in the first place. It doesn't account for any membership fees that you're paying to the company. It doesn't account for any fees you spent to go to conferences like the one that Rachel's speaking at. None of that is not including costs. So, looks like we need to dig a little deeper into doTERRA. Well, I found an article called Why You Should Avoid doTERRA Like the Plague. Here is what it says. Those who sell doTERRA essential oils often boast of the product's almost medicinal qualities, suggesting they have the ability to help you relieve congestion and in extreme cases, even fight cancers. If essential oils can fight cancer, then I've got some property in Iowa I want to sell you guys. I'll leave the medical advice to doctors. That's good. Thank you to Jordan Wathan, who wrote this article, for leaving the medical advice to doctors. You're the real MVP, Jordan. Then it goes on to talk about the top 1% of doTERRA actually being the ones to earn $28,000 a year. Getting in the top 1% of doTERRA is no easy feat. Achieving silver rank, for instance, requires recruiting at least 3 other people who personally sell or recruit people who sell at least $3,000 in product per month. So if you recruit 3 people who each sell $500 of product per month, and each of your recruits recruit more people who sell $2,500 of product combined per month, you'll make it to silver, putting you in the top 1% of the organization. At minimum, this requires at least $9,000 in organizational volume from the people you recruit, though few will reach this rank with exactly $9,000 in monthly volume. Upon reaching silver, you'll be in the top 1% of doTERRA advocates. At this level, the average earnings among advocates is $27,557. So you sold all of that product. You caused all of that product to be sold every month for this company, and you earned a yearly commission of under $30,000. Y'all, most sales jobs would have more than that as the base salary, then you'd get commission on top of that. Like, if you want to do sales, don't do sales for MLM, do sales for a different kind of company. So we look at income disclosure statements. They always try to make it seem like, yes, this is the money you're earning, this is the profit you're earning, this is the income you're earning. But in reality, it's not. In reality, their compensation plans are always so complicated and so weirdly structured that you're gonna lose money. Even this one said only 1% of people are even bringing in that amount of money, and that about fits with the average with MLMs, which is that only 1% of people ever turn any profit. So, are you gonna make money in doTERRA? No, you're not. Don't join. Let's see what Rachel has to say.
I ask the same 3 things of every crowd that I get to speak to, and I'm gonna ask that of you guys today. The first thing that I'm gonna ask you to do is to show up in this space as your authentic self.
Why does she keep telling people to show up as their authentic self? Like, she'll probably explain it in a minute, but like, you're in an audience listening to someone speak. Like, there's not a whole lot of deceiving you can do. Like, how are you gonna lie to someone about who you are? You're like sitting in the audience like, I'm gonna channel the energy of a lawyer right now and make Rachel think that I'm secretly a lawyer even though I'm an essential oil salesperson. Like, how are you not being authentic when all you're doing is literally sitting there watching her? I feel like that's just like fluff that a lot of these business guru types love to have. I call it business guru magnetic poetry. That was a term I coined when I was reviewing Lindsay T. Moreno's speech at the Young Living Convention, because all these business gurus, they use the same terms over and over again that essentially say nothing but sound good on a motivational poster, like show up as your authentic self, be unapologetically yourself, girl stop apologizing, I love Jesus but I cuss. Like, those are all things that I think both Lindsay and Rachel have said at different times. Side note, her book Girl Stop Apologizing directly says in it that MLMs could be a good place to build a side income. It's on page 68. If you don't believe me, I cite my sources, unlike Rachel. All my sources for this video are linked in the description below. And guess what? Girl Stop Apologizing won this year. Best nonfiction read of 2019 on Goodreads. Nonfiction. We've done so much research, friends, about how it is nearly impossible to ever turn a profit in MLM. You're likely gonna lose money, and Rachel said that it could be a good place to earn a side income. Sorry, I think your book needs to be recategorized to the fantasy category, and then we can talk.
Who has a friend, like not a close friend, but maybe someone you went to like middle school with or high school with, and you're friends with them on Facebook, and they're always talking about how in love they are. Anyone have a friend who's like, oh, my boo, no, my boo, and they're like vacationing, and they're swimming on that island where people swim with the pigs? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Anyone have a friend like that? And then they get divorced?
I have a friend like that. Her name's Rachel Hollis. She's always like, oh my god, I love Dave so much. Dave is the best. Dave is a Disney executive. I love Dave. I wouldn't let Dave have sex with me except in the ass. Oh my god, I love Dave. Dave is such a nice guy. Dave doesn't believe that women have a place in the workforce. Everyone at Disney at the top of the company doesn't believe that women have a place in the workforce. I love Dave. He's the absolute best. Dave used to emotionally abuse and gaslight me for the first year of our relationship, so I decided to have sex with him against my religious beliefs to keep him with me. I love Dave.
So, the problem with that is we are so busy pretending that we're swimming laps that nobody knows we're drowning. Nobody can throw you a rope if you don't tell them that you need it. So in this space, while you are here, in this time, while you are here at this event, and with me, I want you to show up as your authentic selves. Can you do that? Yes.
Okay, real quick, credit where credit's due. I'm not here just to trash Rachel. I think this could be a good point. It's a little underdeveloped, but I think it could be a good point where she's saying, you know, while you're at this conference, don't pretend that your business is doing amazing. Don't go around talking to people about how you're selling so much, because in a lot of MLMs, they do try to promote that, like, you're selling a lifestyle to someone, you're selling an opportunity to someone. So if she's encouraging them to be honest about the fact that 99% of them are failing, then, you know, I can't fault that. That's actually a good thing to do. But I don't agree with the point about using it to ask for help, because the only help in an MLM is someone to help you get out of it. So if someone's gonna try to help them invest more money, a lot of times the uplines will be like, oh, you just need to buy a higher volume of things. Oh, you just need to invest a little more. You just need to spend more money on advertising. You just need to stay in the business longer. You're not experienced enough. So a lot of times it actually causes people to lose more money, but I don't want to just hate on Rachel. I wanted to say that, like, at least to an extent, that kind of makes sense. So, like, half credit.
The second thing I'm going to ask you to do, I can already tell that I need, okay? I need you to actually respond to me. Hello. Now we all come from different backgrounds, but I grew up as a Pentecostal preacher's daughter, okay? Which means that I grew up sitting in a congregation and having someone teach from a stage. And in my church, if you didn't respond to the pastor, you know, they thought you were dead, okay? So I need you to actually respond to me. So when I say, does anyone, you know what that's like? I need you to raise your hand. Practice it right now. Practice. Oh, look.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong on the surface with what Rachel's asking for here. She's saying, like, respond to me. I want you to be an active and participating audience. I get that because, like, I've done speaking gigs. I've done public speaking a lot of times in my life, and it's a lot better and a lot more impactful when people are engaged and are responding to you and are, you know, laughing when something's funny, raising their hand when you say, who here does whatever, you know, saying yes or no when you ask a question. Like, it is a lot more meaningful of an interaction for everyone. So I agree with that. What I think is a little shady is the way that she's comparing herself talking to an MLM audience to her father as a preacher talking to a church. We already have too many comparisons between MLMs and, like, things that try to make it into a religion for people, getting people to devote their life to it. You should never devote your life to a company the way you do to a religion, unless, like, the company is your own. Like, I'm incredibly 100% devoted to Forever Home Friends. It is, you know, almost 100% of my life. But that makes sense because I created those products. I started that up myself. That's all me. I'm not belonging to a company that's run by a giant corporation that I am just one of hundreds of thousands of people in that company, if that makes sense. So I feel like since it's already been found that a lot of MLMs succumb to the cult bite model and a lot of them can be manipulative, encouraging people to devote themselves to an MLM the way they would devote themselves to a religion is incredibly dangerous, I think, because a lot of times cults try to pretend that they're a religion. They try to pretend that they're all about religious beliefs when in reality they're just about manipulation. It's very different. So I feel like her trying to draw that comparison is just a slippery slope. Again, before someone, like, comes after me and is like, that's not what Rachel was saying, you're criticizing her her for the wrong thing. Like, I understand that she's not saying to treat doTERRA as if it's their religion, but she is planting that seed of like, participate and be active with me as if you were in the church right now. So even though it's not a direct comparison, I feel like it's still a little bit suspect. I don't know.
The third thing that I need you to do is go all in. Meaning, I have 52 minutes left with you right now.
She has 52 minutes left with us still. Oh my god, I'm gonna be in for an editing nightmare with this video. Good thing I have a handle of bourbon.
Does anyone have someone at home who's like nervous about you coming back from this conference?
Yes, a lot of the times people who do not support that someone in their life is in an MLM is either that person's, you know, siblings, parents, spouse, children. They're like, oh my god, this person who I love so much is losing a lot of money, is getting manipulated, and now they're going to a conference where they're going to get like cult indoctrinated into it. And so yeah, I think a lot of people are nervous about people coming back from that conference, and the fact that she's just dismissing that is creepy.
And by the way, I love that there are guys here. I'm mostly going to talk to the ladies. We've been dealing with it for like 500 years. You can handle it for 50 minutes, okay?
I don't know what to call this when Rachel puts on the feminist persona. I'm not saying that Rachel's not a feminist. She very well might identify as a feminist, and that's great if she does. But I feel like there's feminism where you are genuinely trying to uplift other women, where you are genuinely trying to fight for equality among all genders. And then there's using a soundbite or using a slogan related to what you know other people will recognize as feminism in order to profit. I don't know if that made sense the way I said it, so let me try to explain this better because I'm gonna get fucking canceled if I say this wrong. I think what I'm talking about here is like corporate feminism. When a company or a person representing a company will take the idea of like, oh, this is female empowerment, let me just push how feminist this is towards you, and it doesn't matter if there's any equality besides that, because now if you don't like this thing, you are not feminist anymore. And again, that's why like I've been attacked in my YouTube comments for saying like, why don't you support other women in business? Why aren't you uplifting other women? Like literally, I made a Facebook group for women in business to lift each other up. I'm currently writing a self-help book aimed at women in business. Like I care a lot about that. I'm a feminist. I've gotten trash on YouTube because I've talked about being a feminist. Now I'm getting it from the other side too. But it's the idea that like you can put out there, I'm uplifting other women. I am, you know, advocating for women's rights. And once you say that, you cut off all criticism to yourself, because now if somebody criticizes you, they don't support women or something like that. So I am here as your feminist gay aunt from the 80s to tell you all that corporate feminism, commercialized feminism is a marketing tactic. It is not genuine, and I don't support it. So when Rachel's up here saying, like, I'm talking to the ladies, we've been listening to men's stories for 500 years, on the surface, yes, I agree with that point. I think it's true that a lot of times women's stories have gotten overlooked throughout history in favor of men's stories, and that's a huge reason that cultural feminism is important. But the way Rachel's saying it in this context is her feeding this idea that MLMs are inherently feminist, that the company she's working for has an ideology of uplifting other women, when in reality it is manipulating and scamming women out of money. I hope that makes sense. If you need clarification, ask me in the comments. So for the past like 10 minutes, Rachel has just gone on about her pregnancy. I'm gonna have to edit so much of this out. One, because it's very similar to the pregnancy story she told in the Beachbody speech, so I'm not gonna break it down again since she like basically just reused the same material. But also because, one, I've never been pregnant, I've never had a kid. People who have been pregnant and who have had children have a different like perspective and life experience than I do, so if you think that what I'm saying is inaccurate, then please feel free to correct me. But I think it's kind of telling and kind of strange that, especially in MLM circles, the person, like the woman who's being a leader of this, who is like someone like Rachel who's addressing a big group, or someone like Lindsay when I reviewed the book Boss Up with my friend Amanda, I'll link it up in the cards, but that those people giving business advice focus so much on motherhood. Business and motherhood can go together, they can, but they, at their core, are two separate things, right? That's like saying that, like, you know, religion and politics are two separate things. Casserole and pasta are two separate things. All of them can go together. They all can influence each other and often do. But they're also different things. Like, they're not the same. So when you're talking to an audience about business and you focus so much on being relatable through talking about motherhood, it's showing that, like, at its core, MLMs are appealing to women whose family takes on traditional family gender roles, if that makes sense. I don't know, that's how it comes across to me, that she's just spending so much time talking about pregnancy, what pregnancy was like, and how that's so relatable. Like, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, and I have no idea what any of this pregnancy stuff is that she's talking about. In fact, pregnancy scares the shit out of me, so nope, never. But I can see how for a lot of people, since I guess having children is the norm, for a lot of people that could be relatable, but it just feels like that's a strange focus to spend this much time on when, like, if I were at this conference, I would be there for business advice.
I was really blessed in that I got to parent with a partner, but then he went back to work. And I was home by myself with this child trying to keep him alive. And holy smokes, it all started to go downhill. And I remember about 6 weeks in, Dave had gone back to work, and because I was staying home with our son at the time, I was like, okay, well, I'll take care of the baby, and you know, just keep living your life. I got it, because I was dumb as a box of rocks, and I didn't know better. So I was really tired, and I remember one morning, Saturday morning, and he wakes up, and in my mind, I'm sure it didn't happen, I'm sure it didn't happen like this in real life, but in my mind, he stretches his little kitten paws. And he says, I'm tired. I have never before or since had a moment where I was both laughing and crying simultaneously, like, and I lost my mind, and I was like, okay, all right, well, I hope you're prayed up, because you're about to meet Jesus tonight, son, because I'm going to strangle you with the cords of my breast pump, and then my mom is going to have to raise this baby, and you know what, I'm going to prison because I murdered my husband. You know what, in prison, lights out at 9 p.m., am I right? I'm just saying. I lost my mind a little bit, and I can now look back and understand that I was exhausted and I was so unsure, and it's such a huge responsibility to be a mom. But at the time, I believed that the reason I felt nervous and the reason it was so hard for me was because I wasn't a good mom.
Alright, let's talk about Dave Hollis real quick. I've ranted about Dave Hollis actually in 3 videos that I've done before, and I've cut the rant out of every single one because it always goes on for too long, and I'm like, this editing's taking forever, I need to cut a chunk out. Okay, let's just cut out my rant about Dave because it'll go on all this time. Dave Hollis, friends and fam. So he was a Disney executive. I talked in my video reacting to Rachel's Arbonne speech about how Dave apparently, when he was a Disney executive, thought it was a little weird that his wife was such a powerful business owner. It made him feel threatened because he was the Disney executive. He was supposed to be at the top, and all of his co-workers who were also Disney executives, well, all their wives stayed at home with the kids, so they just didn't understand how Rachel could be such a boss babe. And I was just over here like, wow, Disney executives, huh? Alright, guess I'm not ever getting that Disney Plus subscription. Disney's not getting another cent of my money. Great job, Dave. Great job. Anyway, Dave Hollis is Rachel's husband. I did talk in my Girl Wash Your Face review about how when Rachel and Dave got together, she was 19 and he was 27. Her first quote in the book about their relationship is her being like, "This man never thought to question my age and I never willingly volunteered the information." Wow! He also treated her like shit that entire year. The whole first year she talks about how he treated her like a booty call, how whenever she was out in public with him, he would be like, "Wow, you're really acting young tonight. Like, wow, you're really acting your age tonight." Like, the vaulting her for being so much younger. Basically using the fact that he was older to manipulate this younger woman into kind of acting however he wanted. It was the most toxic, disgusting thing I've ever heard. I'm 27 years old now. I'm the age that Dave was when he first met Rachel. I cannot fathom dating a 19-year-old. They are so much on a different plane of existence than I am right now. And 19-year-olds out there, I'm glad you're here, you know. when I was 19, that was a good year for me. I had a good time, all that. I just like, I don't think we would work in a relationship because we're just not in the same plane of like life experience. And that's what was going on here too. Like Rachel was like an intern and Dave was a Disney executive. So what? So Rachel talks in Girl Wash Your Face about how she had their first kid when she was 24. So we need to do a timeline right here. So Rachel's 19 when she meets Dave. Dave is 27. Rachel has their first baby when she's 24. That means Dave is what, like 31? Okay. Dave is 31. When Dave was being a 27-year-old fuckboy, gaslighting, asshole, negging, red pill pickup artist back in the day, he was older than Rachel was when she gave birth to their first child, okay? So Rachel was mature enough to make the decision to bring another life into the world, to become a mother, to become, you know, a working career woman mom, which, you know, everyone should do if they want. And I definitely don't think 24 is too young to make that decision. You know, everyone should do what they want. But I'm saying that she was younger and more mature at that age than he was at 27 when he was acting that way. Then Rachel tells this story about how she's just like, oh, Dave, just go back to work. And in the Beachbody speech, she doesn't as much do it in this one, but in the Beachbody speech when she tells the same story, she talks about how she's like, oh, you know, Dave and I were just young and dumb back then. We're both so much more mature and enlightened now. We both wouldn't act that way again. And I'm like, Dave was 31. He wasn't 24 like you were. He was 31 years old. I just feel like she's continually giving a pass to this guy. And she's always talking about like female empowerment, but then she's never holding this man accountable. She's almost doing like the boys will be boys thing to excuse the fact that Dave has been a straight up dick from the beginning. Side note, Dave Hollis actually has a book coming out. It's called Bro Wash Your Balls. No, it's actually not called that. It's called Get Out of Your Own Way. He missed a huge opportunity by not calling it Bro Wash Your Balls, because Get Out of Your Own Way already has like 3 other books with that exact same title on Goodreads. And not only that, but when I was reviewing Lindsay Teague Moreno's book Boss Up, she uses the phrase get out of your own way like 20 times in her goal setting chapter. She's just like, don't forget to get out of your own way. It's more business guru magnetic poetry, and now Dave's doing the business guru magnetic poetry too. His book is about how, like, it turns out that men can be insecure and have problems too. And I'm like, wow, what an innovative and unique concept for a book. So anyway, maybe I'll try to, like, find that at the library, because, like, I'm not paying for that. I'm not having any money go to Dave Hollis. But I might find it at the library and review it at some point if that's something you guys would be interested in. But I don't even know if I could get through it, because I'm still struggling to get through Grant Cardone's book, as you guys know. Business bro books are... So anyway, that's my brief rant about Dave Hollis. I think that Rachel gives him way too much credit. She gives him way too much of a free pass to be an asshole all the time.
So I started to do research how other moms were doing it, and every single time I went and did research, all I saw were all the ways I was not measuring up. Because every single time you go on social media to find the answers, you are looking at a visual representation of someone's very best moment and comparing it to your very real life. How often do you go onto social to do research and leave feeling better? Tell me, who here ever goes on social media, you start scrolling, so you're like, oh, I want to see how that team does it, or I want to see what's happening over here, and it robs you of motivation.
So this whole thing, she said this in the Arbonne speech too, that like going on social media to do research, to compare yourselves to other people, you don't feel better afterwards. You're less motivated, so you just shouldn't do it. That is so stupid. I don't understand. Like, in business, there are going to be times, I hate to break it to you, but there are going to be times when your competitors are doing better than you. It's going to happen. It's probably going to happen a lot, especially if you're new in the game and they've been established for a while. That doesn't mean you shouldn't look at what they do. Whether that's on social media, whether that's with a mentor, no matter what capacity, you do need to look at what your competition is doing. I don't understand how she thinks you can possibly get by in business without examining your competition. For me, when I look at my competition, like for example, for Forever Home Friends, American Girl is a competition for me, right? Because they also do a book and toy series that educates kids about different topics. Theirs is humans and mine is dogs, so we're different in that sense. Mine is real dogs and theirs is fictional people, so that's different as well. But they are a competitor in that they have a similar product model to what I have, right? Does that mean that I avoid going to the American Girl store because I don't want to feel bad about myself? Have you seen my doll videos? Have you seen my doll collection? I'm 27 years old, I'm fuckboy Dave's age, and I'm over here collecting dolls. It's wonderful. No, I still go to the American Girl store all the time because when I go there, I can look at how they're doing displays. I can feel inspired by how elaborate their setups are. I can feel inspired by how comprehensive their business is. And you know, they've been bought out by Mattel, so it's a completely different ballgame. So I'm not over here like, man, why am I not bought out by Mattel? Because I remember I'm a small business owner, so it's totally different. You need some perspective, but the way that she's framing this advice doesn't make any sense. You don't want to isolate yourself in a bubble and have no idea what your competition's doing, because then you have no way to know how you can improve and how you can reach a similar target audience to them and all of that. If your competition is having a similar audience to you, you need to know how to reach that demographic of people. That's marketing. That's what marketing is. But again, this is multi-level marketing, which is not real marketing. It's just a scam. So maybe that's why she's giving this dumb bullshit advice. I don't know.
Does it ever make you feel worse? And not just about business, but about life. Like, oh, my body doesn't look like hers, or my hair doesn't look like hers. These are extensions, guys. You can have these too. I mean, I don't know how to do this. Someone else gave this to me.
Rachel's like, these are extensions. You can have these too. In Girl Stop Apologizing, Rachel talks about how much her extensions cost. I believe it was like the price of a car. Like, Rachel spends so much money on her appearance, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, she's earned that money and she deserves to spend that money on her appearance if she wants to. Everyone should spend their money on whatever they want. But where she's like, you can have these too. Like, I feel like sometimes she forgets that her current lifestyle is not accessible to most people. I really ranted about this in my Girl Stop Apologizing review because of the way that she talks about getting a boob job, because getting either breast reduction or full top surgery is a thing that's like, it's necessary for me, and I'm not going to go too much into it, but like, I can't afford to get it. I've prioritized my business over paying for that surgery, and I just deal with the constant body dysphoria because I don't have that type of money right now. And it's just constantly like, I feel like she just like flaunts her wealth all the time. Girl, stop humble bragging.
The thing is, you know, like when you go to post something on social, tell me, when you take, like, who posted a selfie or a picture while they were coming here or coming to conference? Yeah? Yeah? And when you posted it, did you make sure and just get real low? Do you make sure and do it in the dark so your skin looks super good? Yeah? No! You went up high, you put a hand on your hip, you bent over a little bit, 'cause that helps too, right? You took 9,000 photos to get that one. You filtered it. Filter. Some of you did a double filter, that's a thing. Some of you used Facetune. Don't lie to me. Your face does not look like that. You are not a doll. Your face does not look like that. So why is it that when you post something, you know the amount of effort that you go through?
Okay, you know who else puts effort into their photos? You know who else cares about getting the photo from a really good angle? Who cares about, you know, trying 700 different photos just to get the right 1 or 2 shots? You know who else then digitally edits photos after they're done? Photographers! You know what photographers do? They take photos to try to sell a product. If you are trying to sell essential oils, if you are trying to sell a product, which again, I do not condone ever joining an MLM, but if you are in one and trying to sell a product, you want your photos to look good. I don't care if it's inauthentic. Have you seen how Burger King takes pictures of their Whopper versus the Whopper you actually get in real life that's like a sad, floppy, flaccid mess, right? Photography is a skill. Oh my god, and Rachel's over here like, those photos are inauthentic, or you did this, like making fun of people for taking good photos. What?
Guys, comparison is the death of joy.
She just said it again, comparison is the death of joy. Word for word. Nice job crediting Mark Twain on that, Rachel.
The second you start to compare, you take all of the wind out of your sails. So why do you do it?
I'll tell you why I do it. I look at my competitors' social media because I'm still trying to learn a solid social media strategy for promoting my business. I've been trying to enter the content marketing realm lately, and I've been trying to learn about different aspects of how I can promote something on the internet. So by looking at what my competition does, it's actually kind of helpful for me to try to develop a similar strategy, or not to copy them directly, but to modify what types of things are working in that sense. So that's why I do it. Does it make me feel better? No, it's annoying and kind of tedious, but you know, when you run a business, you sometimes have to do the parts you don't like.
So how does looking at what someone else is doing in their life make you more successful? Gut reaction. What's the first thing you think of? What? What they have is what I want. Does anyone ever do that? What they have is what I want. So you're like, I gotta go see it, because if I can't see it, I don't know what it is that I want.
Yeah, that's what I would say. You have to have concrete goals. Like Rachel actually has a nice, like a really well-written goal-setting chapter in Girls Stop Apologizing. It was like the only thing that I thought was good in that book was that she knows about goal setting. For goal setting, you need to have concrete steps. A lot of times I don't know, like I know I want my business to be successful, right? I know that I need to increase my online sales. In concrete steps, what does that mean? Okay, it means maybe I do need to look at what a different company has to know what I want. Okay, this different company has, you know, 100,000 more Twitter followers than I do. Okay, so maybe that's what I want because they're selling more, so maybe I do want to have more followers. Okay, what are they doing on their Twitter that I'm not? Okay, they're posting more frequently every day. Okay, they're replying to more comment threads that involve this hashtag towards this community. Like, this is market research. It's not research, it's research. God damn it, Rachel. Like, just, like, Rachel is a social media influencer. Like, that is her life. She knows that social media is a career on its own. She knows this. Like, there's no way. She can't play dumb. She's fucking lying. I'm just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
The problem is that social media now makes everybody think that there's a magic bullet, that there's a quick, faster, easier, I can just slide on up. Everyone, right now I'm doing press for this new book and everyone's like, oh my gosh, what does it feel like to be an overnight success? And I'm like, just because you finally know who I am doesn't mean I haven't been working at this for a really long time.
Okay, credit where credit's due time once again, friends. Rachel is right about this. Everything she's saying here is accurate. And I actually commend her for saying this because I think a lot of times we are sold this whole girl boss narrative, and I think that MLMs are actually one of the worst culprits of selling this. The idea that like, oh, you can be successful, you know, set your goals really high, you know, work to get there, and then you'll get it. It never talks about the steps in between, never talks about the fact that it's going to be, you know, hours and hours and days and days and weeks and months of years of hard work before you get to that point. No one talks about the fact that you're going to be working 90 or 100-hour work weeks to be that type of successful person that you want to be. You know, a couple years, just like a year ago at this time, I was working 95 hours a week because I was trying to get my degree. I was in school, and I was also, you know, working at the school to earn money and to waive my tuition, and I was just starting my business, and I was doing events every weekend, and I was also, you know, writing articles for magazines as my paid writing job. So I was doing all of this work. I was working like 95 hours a week, and it was a lot. And so people are sometimes like, you know, Savvy, it's so great that you run a business, that's really cool. And I'm like, yeah, it is a lot of work. And I try to be very upfront with people about the fact that I am a workaholic. I work all the time. And I think a lot of people who reach levels of success, like Rachel is a workaholic. I will give her that her work ethic is on fire. And I think that is awesome about her. And I actually I think that's great. I would never fault her for that. I think she's awesome for that. I do think a lot of business gurus need to emphasize this a little more and also need to go into the nitty gritty in between there. I talked about this in my review of Boss Up with Amanda that I did the other week, but basically a lot of times business gurus in their keynote speech, in their self-help book, and whatever it is they write, they start with like the softball kind of thing, like kind of like what Rachel's doing here, talking about women comparing themselves to each other, or they talk about like finding your business's purpose or mission statement. It talks about like the very basics of What are you trying to do? What are you trying to sell? What is your goal? Very basic thing. Now you figured that out. And then it jumps from there to like, now you have employees to manage. What do you do? Now you have to learn about your taxes. Great. But none of the steps in between, like how did you find your first client? How did you get the money to first invest in the products you needed to start up with the business? How did you first like find a manufacturer to produce something? How did you find a vendor for this thing? What services did you use? All like the very specific things that I know, I guess it's kind of hard to talk about because often it's very specific to whatever industry you're going into. But I think at least by outlining the steps of what you did and then trying to draw comparisons to how people could apply that to their own business is really important. That's like right now I'm writing a business self-help book. You guys know that. It's called #SavvyBusinessOwner. It's still on the first draft. But that's a main goal that I have with this that I'm working on as I am expanding this book is like I'm talking about the very specific things that I did of like how did I register my LLC? How did I get money to start my business? Through crowdfunding. Great. How did I make my crowdfunding campaign successful? How did I find each individual person who contributed? How did I get my name out there? How did I find clients? Who did I talk to? What specific groups that I network with? Where did I look for these things? And if you're in a different industry, how could you take that knowledge and extrapolate it? Because I think that's what a lot of business advice out there is missing. That's again a tangent, but that all goes to say that Rachel is correct. It never happens overnight, and I think it's good that she's emphasizing this point. However, I wish some of her books would go more into depth about exactly what she did.
I love the reminder that there isn't a fast pass here. This is not Disneyland. You can't buy your way to the front of the line. I love that reminder. You know why? Because it equalizes the playing field.
No, it doesn't. Like, here's where I'm gonna disagree again. The playing field is never completely equal. Because, like, yes, I admire the fact that Rachel talks about her childhood growing up in a low-income household. I'm gonna be working on a video shortly where I kind of talk about that in my own experiences as well. But I think that Rachel sometimes neglects how much she gained from marrying a rich dude. And, like, that's no shade on people who married a rich dude. I actually have been writing about this in my business book that I'm working on right now. I married a rich dude too. Like, it happens. And it's not that like you do that intentionally. Like, I'm sure she married Dave for love. I'm sure she did. I give her the benefit of the doubt. But when it comes down to it, the fact that she did marry a guy who had a very high position in a company that owns most other companies in the US, and the fact that she got with him so early on in her life and throughout the majority of her career has had his money as a safety net, it doesn't mean that her work is any less valuable. It doesn't mean that all this stuff she did is any less impressive or it's any less of an accomplishment. I think all that she's accomplished is amazing, but it does mean that she's had certain advantages that other people didn't have, and that is not an equalizer. Now, to an extent, like, other people have had advantages that Rachel didn't have, right? Like, if you're born into royalty, right? If you're the child of a celebrity and you want to do something in that industry, it's much easier to get your foot in the door, right? From an early age. If you're born to an incredibly wealthy family and you have all that money at your disposal from the beginning, that's a privilege that you would have that maybe she didn't at the beginning. Everybody has a set of different advantages and disadvantages in life, but hard work equalizing us is kind of a myth. Like, I wish it were true. I wish it were, but to an extent, when you have to take into account that we're all born into different circumstances and that we all have like, luck does play a role. Like, and again, this is the thing I'm trying to talk about in the book in a gentle way, because I never want to make it seem like luck has too much of a role, because luck is not the be-all end-all. Like, work ethic really is the number one thing. But in terms of, you know, an equal playing field, luck does play a role. If you get married to a rich person, you're luck, right? I mean, unless you're doing it intentionally. If you're like finding a sugar daddy or whatever, like, you do you, I don't care. But like, if the person you fall in love with by chance just happens to be rich, that's luck. That's nothing more than luck. And you can use that to help you in your business, and there's nothing wrong with that. But don't pretend that the playing field's equal, because it's not. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that there's anything people need to do differently, just that I disagree with what she's saying here.
I love the fact that if you work hard and you work smart and you're willing to stick with it, you can have the thing that you're working for.
That's a myth. in an MLM. In a real business, it's the truth, right? Like, I talked about this when I talked about Lindsay T. Moreno too, and she's saying the biggest mistake you can make is to quit too soon. In a legitimate business venture, I agree. If you're starting your own business, you're gonna fail probably for the first 5 years. You're probably gonna be making a loss for the first 5 years. You're not gonna be paying yourself anything. I'll be honest with you, I barely pay myself anything with Forever Home Friends right now. I mostly supplement myself through my other jobs. I have a journalism job and a teaching job, and Forever Home Friends is still in the process of growing, and I put pretty much everything I make back into the business to grow it. I'm upfront about that. There's nothing wrong with that in a real business venture. In an MLM, people who are often like finally ready to quit, finally ready to break free of it, and someone being like, no, if you work harder for longer at it, you too can achieve this, but it's not statistically possible because there are so many people already above you in the company that are taking cuts of all of each other's commission that it's actually, statistically, is not possible. So what she's saying here is mathematically false. And it's also kind of a dangerous myth to perpetuate.
The problem is that so many people leave because it gets hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, so many people leave MLMs because the business model is inherently flawed, because they realize that it actually wasn't possible to make money, because they're seeing that not that it's hard, that it's borderline impossible, that is a statistical improbability. They're leaving because the business model is set up in a way where it's impossible to fail if you didn't get in at the beginning. Lots of things in life are hard and are worth working for, and MLM is not one of them.
I have this vision, like this is the place that I want to go, and then people start out on the path. Like some of you are right now experiencing this. You're on the path, and you feel like life starts to kick you. You feel like stuff pops up that never happened before. You feel like friends are saying things they never did, or family's not supportive, or suddenly it gets hard. Anyone try to set out on a path to a dream and it got harder?
Friends don't treat you like they used to. Family's not supportive. If you're in an MLM and your friends are not treating you like they used to, usually from what I've seen of MLMs and from the people I've interviewed that have been in MLMs, it's because you're now talking about your MLM nonstop. You're trying to get your friend to buy from you. You're trying to recruit all your friends into it. And they're just kind of like, okay, I want us to be friends. I'm not here to be a customer to you. Your family stops believing in you because they're watching you go into debt. They're watching you lose money. They're watching a giant corporate entity profit off of you while you make nothing. Those are reasonable concerns. You shouldn't brush them aside.
Most people give up because it gets hard. But here's what I'm obsessed with. The valley that you're walking through, this valley of pain, this valley of trauma, this valley of hardship, this valley of life kicking you, this valley is what you need to walk through to get the strength to get to the top of the mountain.
Either that or the valley that you're walking through is actually just a gateway to a deeper valley, because maybe there's like some quicksand that you can slide into. I don't know what I'm doing with my metaphor right here, but basically, if you're like, I'm at rock bottom in my business because I'm $100,000 in debt from paying all this money to this MLM and nobody's buying from me and nobody's joining my downline, and Rachel's like, you're gonna get to the top of the mountain. This is the lowest point. There's only up from here. Well, not necessarily, because maybe you were $100,000 in debt and a year from now you're $200,000 in debt. It can always get worse. God damn it, how are we only halfway through this speech? Okay, I think I'm gonna have to make this a two-part video. Do you guys want me to make a part 2 of this video? Let me know in the comments below, just because this is already gonna be an editing nightmare, and like I'm still only like halfway through all the work I have to get done for today. So if you want me to do a part 2 of this video, let me know in the comments below. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you want to support a legitimate small business, check out Forever Home Friends, linked in the description below. If you are interested in me as a writer, you can check out my novels Sculpt Yourself and Beauty King, and you can also subscribe to this channel and see all of my author videos and writing advice videos that I have. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see y'all again soon. In the meantime, don't forget to support small businesses. Happy living your life, friends.